The New York Times now reporting the CIA has named a new station chief for Iran and using the person's alleged real name on the front page. We have decided not to identify this person in any way. The Times claims that appointing someone of this person's level is a clear warning to Tehran that it is not business as usual. Here to discuss, Waleed Phares, Middle East expert, former advisor to President Trump. So there's two issues here. One, the naming, the outing on the front page. We'll get to that in a minute. First, this individual has a storied past with the agency. Putting them in this position, is that a clear message to the Ayatollah?
Absolutely. But let me begin by saying, Leland, that you could criticize an Iran policy at will if you don't agree with the administration or with Congress, for that matter. But when you start naming persons in charge, operational people in charge of the policy of containment with regard to Iran, that is kind of a breach to our national security. It needs to be defined, of course, legally, but politically speaking, you are sending the message to the Ayatollahs, these are the persons in charge of dealing with you.
So, all right, we'll deal with it in reverse order here. We'll tell you what the New York Times has to say about that. They addressed that in their article. Here is their quote. The New York Times is naming, name redacted, identity, was previously published in news reports and, name redacted, is leading an important new administration initiative against Iran. I spent a lot of time in the Middle East. People in this position's lives depended on their secrecy.
That's right.
This is a pretty bold move by the Times.
It's a bold move. We need to ask more questions. Actually, Congress needs to ask more questions because this has to do with our national security approach to a country which is on our list of
the Iranians
terror.
The Iranians, an Iranian-sponsored group, kidnapped a CIA station chief back in the 1980s, killed him.
Of course, in Beirut. Many hostages were killed. The CIA director was... And then also the Iranians with Hezbollah have been killing our servicemen in Iraq. So we are in a situation of confrontation with the Iranian regime. The problem is once you unveil a name, it's not just a name. It's the team that would work with that person. It's also the impact on people inside Iran and a region who would want to work with the United States, and now it's going to be a little bit more difficult.
Well, yeah, now it makes big questions. Anybody who's being recruited either by this person or by other members of the CIA, they say, hey, look, if you can't keep your own people's names secret, right, how are you going to keep my name secret? Big questions, obviously, for the Times, and that'll be dealt with as we move forward. Now to the issue of Iran and how bold they have become. They have, not only, to your point, killing U.S. servicemen in Iraq, in Syria, they have moved some of their forces, their militias, very close to the U.S. trainers inside Syria, the U.S. dropping these leaflets. I don't know if we have the pictures of them. They dropped 90,000 leaflets onto the area that these troops had all gathered. That's from the Pentagon. They put out these leaflets to us saying, move, and we'll translate the Arabic for you. If you come any closer to the base, we'll view that as hostile and we'll attack. Is this the Iranians trying to test the United States?
It's beyond that. This is the Iranian regime applying their strategy of creating a land bridge between Iran and Iraq into Syria, into Hezbollah of Lebanon. And that piece of the desert where we are operating against ISIS is exactly the area they want to seize. They want to see that the United States would destroy ISIS, but they want to take over the land.
So when does this war of words, when does this game of brinksmanship turn into a real war between the U.S. forces on the ground there in Syria, the special forces there, and these Iranian militias?
We need to be clear about it. The Battle of Raqqa is going to be engaged very soon. So we and our allies are coming from the north. The area we're talking about is from the Jordanian border all the way going to the north. So if we are fast enough to seize Raqqa with our allies and fast enough to link up with that force in the south, then Iran will lose. And they know it. That's why they're pushing as much as they can to get that line before we seize Raqqa.
Dangerous times. Waleed, appreciate you being here to explain them for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.